This is Phoenix, and I'm going to read from my newly published book, The Street Kid. Um, the book is available on Amazon if you're interested and you like what you hear. So without further ado, I'm going to read. Phoenix remembered one of his absolute favorite books ever, and it was a novel about a kid named Maxwell, who lived on an island surrounded by hostile beasts, who refused to cooperate with Maxwell, and Phoenix wished more than anything that he could meet him, to make up for the loss of Gavroche. However, it was highly unlikely. If Phoenix met Maxwell, it would be in his head, just as he had thought Gavroche was the real Gavroche from the classic 19th century novel, but was really only a kid who confused himself, a fictional character. Maxwell. This was not the first time he thought about Maxwell, and the possibility of meeting him. However, this particular panging curiosity was stronger than usual, as though something's going to happen, and Phoenix began to feel that he needed to meet the kid now, because the two were destined to become good friends, and be honest, it isn't going to happen. You're delusional. You've always been delusional. Phoenix saw that he was in a field of some sort, and didn't even realize that he had long ago left the city he was at before. He sat down in the long grass and put his chin on his hands and sighed. It was hopeless. Why did he insist on believing that magic really existed in the world, when it was obvious that Phoenix was only crazy, lived in a world where the only reality was the opposite of what Phoenix wanted, or would have liked to see, no different from believing in a Maxwell character that doesn't exist. Phoenix debated falling asleep on this grass, but changed his mind. He needed to keep going. He stood up and was about to continue walking through the field when he heard something walking behind him. "Don't move," came a voice. Phoenix was tempted to put up his hands, but there was something overly playful and innocent about the voice. He was about to turn around when the voice said, "Don't even think about it." A pause. "Phoenix?" "Okay, what is going on?" Phoenix turned around, and standing in the grass, looking like a beast of nature, was a young 8 or 9-year-old. He wore a shirt, pants, and shoes that were entirely gray, like a wolf, and he had shaggy, mangy, dirt-colored hair, with flecks of silver. His face was also face-painted. War paint? Painted gray, with black streaks on the cheeks. Whiskers. "I told you not to move," the kid said despondently, and then to Phoenix's surprise began to growl. A low, playful, sonically appealing growl, like Phoenix had just made a puppy angry. The kid began to hunch over, putting out his hands, claws, and Phoenix realized that he was smiling crazily. Dear God, I just met Maxwell. What the freak was happening? Phoenix thinking of Maxwell, and then he meets someone just like him? The kid charged towards Phoenix and knocked Phoenix down on the ground, ruffling his hair. Phoenix imagined that the roles needed to be reversed. Usually, older kids or people ruffled the younger kid's hair, of course as a sign of affection. However, this kid felt exactly the opposite, and continued to make Phoenix's hair all ruffled, all messed up, grungy, and Phoenix realized that he was laughing now, as the young kid continued to torment Phoenix. The kid finally backed away from Phoenix, who was laughing like this was the best joke in the world, and then the kid stood up straight and said, "I do that to people I like." Phoenix, who couldn't stop laughing, tears rolling down his eyes, finally managed to say, "No, no, I see where you're coming from. You're just about having fun." The kid looked at Phoenix again and then howled, and Phoenix began to laugh again, sure his belly was going to split open from all of the serious laughter. However, Phoenix knew that all good things needed to come to an end. Yeah, right, and so he gently said, "Maxwell, you're going to get yourself in trouble if you keep this up." Maxwell straightened up, his face lighting up with sudden seriousness, and said, "That's what people want you to think, man." "I know, but what if they are right?" Phoenix didn't bother to wait for Maxwell's response, because he already trusted the kid, and he didn't need to say anything to get his point across. It just sort of happened, came to be. "Maxwell, I can't hide the way you make me feel." Maxwell looked as though he was offended, his face paint whiskers fading in the light of the sun. He said, "Phoenix, you shouldn't have to run from your soul. I know, but it's hard. My soul, it's defective." Maxwell suddenly became very solemn. Then he began to mock Phoenix lightly. "I'm Phoenix and I think I'm worthless." Phoenix smiled at this. "You feel?" He wasn't sure how to respond. "You're probably wondering what my life is like on the other end," Maxwell said. "You know, me being Maxwell and all. From that novel you love so much." "Well, yeah. At the end of the novel you realize that you have to run away from the beasts of the wilderness because they are hurting you. I know, but that's the thing. They create my niche. During the craziest moments they make me happy. because I realize how screwed up I am. There's something deceptively pleasant about becoming more yourself, about letting out the beast within you. Or the love? Phoenix nodded his head at this. It made sense. So many times, Phoenix had felt the same way. Stop wasting time. Stop screwing around. Come on now, Phoenix. Fly. Come on, man. Fly. And if Phoenix was a real Phoenix, I'm not. It's crazy. And yet, according to this kid, beasts exist. Then he had the ability to fly? You're being crazy. You can't talk. Crazy. We all know where that leads. Maxwell was resilient. He kept giving Phoenix a guilty look, one that made Phoenix feel as though I'm defective, I'm a beast, and Phoenix realized that he couldn't keep hiding behind himself. He had to start letting his true emotions out, start letting out the fire, the heart of the fiery, fury-laden Phoenix. Arizona. The only thing was, Phoenix wasn't sure how to do that. It sounded like a long shot in every sense of the phrase. Phoenix saw how well it worked when Maxwell tried to be the beast and got manipulated along the way for whatever reason, and it was too much of a stretch that Maxwell was such a good kid. Because surely no one was that pure, but all he wanted to do was help. God, that was all he wanted to do. Or should I say bad guy. And Phoenix realized that he loved Maxwell, literally to death, and that he was going to lose his soul if he kept up these thoughts, because I can't love, because Phoenix was as calloused, as flames, as a bird of flames. Arizona. I don't know who I am, Maxwell. Can you help me figure that out? Can you be a calm force of security? Phoenix, Maxwell said. Phoenix looked at Maxwell, realizing that, even though he was only 8 or 9, he was the perfect height. Even though Maxwell was well into his teens, he still felt like he was at the same level of this kid, and it was beautiful. Phoenix, you're crying. I just see you suffer, Phoenix said. I see it and I hate it. Maxwell just smiled. Nish, Phoenix, nish. You gotta lighten up sometimes, you know, the grime and corruption of it all. Phoenix realized that he was going to burst out laughing again. However, he didn't have the opportunity, because the moment that Maxwell said, I need to show you I can take care of myself, Phoenix watched as the scenery began to change. It had been a field that went on forever, but now it was a mountain of some sort. Mountain of pain? No, not the mountain of pain. Phoenix, that ship has sailed. Phoenix literally believed that the two kids were going to be eaten if they stayed in this place, but Maxwell insisted that it would be okay, that Phoenix needed to have faith, and he needed to have it now, because this moment was extremely important, as beasts with flaming red eyes, like a cross between a werewolf and a human lion, leapt out of nowhere, and tackled Maxwell, all of them swarming around the innocent kid, as though he could really take it, and Phoenix found himself screaming. What were these creatures doing? Why were they torturing Maxwell? He hadn't done anything. And then Phoenix realized that the creatures were licking Maxwell. They would not stop, and their eyes are no longer red. These creatures will eat you if you don't keep them tamed. And yet Phoenix felt that he had faith in Maxwell, because this kid was strong, and Phoenix's love for Maxwell would not dissipate, no matter how much he tried to get it to fade. And I'm going crazy. It was so much more complicated than that, because these creatures literally were eating Maxwell, and Phoenix couldn't go into the gruesome details because they were swallowing him whole. Strange when considering there was more than one creature, but somehow all of them were eating Maxwell whole, and Maxwell was screaming as all of this happened. And Phoenix realized he was screaming as well, because this is like watching a kid get shot. This is Phoenix, and I hope you enjoyed what you heard today. Again, you can find my book on Amazon if you're interested. Just type in The Street Kid. And also the link is on the YouTube video description. Again, this is Phoenix, and thank you.